Say hello on that microphone. Just say hello. Testing.
Testing. 1, 2. Hello.
Okay. All right. You can go anytime you want, whenever you want to start.
All right. Hola a todos, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Members on Air, a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Metro St. Louis podcast, where we talk to our members on who they are and how they make St. Louis home. I'm your host for today, Maria Rosario, marketing manager at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And today I am at the KXOX studio with Mike Langston. And Ricky Resi, you don't see him, he's in the background, but trust me, he's here. And if you haven't heard the good news, there is a new Spanish FM radio station in St. Louis. Hold for applause. And yes, you heard it right. You can now listen to Los 40 St. Louis on 92.9 FM. Or if you're someone like me that lives in Maryland Heights, far away from the city, you can use the Odyssey app to listen to Los 40 all day long. So like I mentioned, with me today is Mike Langston. And before we dive into the interview, is radio dead?
I hope not. No, it's not. One of the great parts about radio, they call it terrestrial radio, is that you can take it anywhere you want and you can go wherever you want. And it's even better than satellite radio. It's better than the apps on your phone or on your PC because again, it's very mobile, very easy to use. You can do anything you want just about as long as you have a radio. If you use a satellite, you have to have a specific app or you have to have a specific receiver for that. So it's more apparatus and stuff that you need. And it's getting easier to have internet for the most part. I think there's a lot of areas that don't have internet and don't have access to internet. So using apps can be difficult as well. And FM has become much more popular. KXOK, one of the stations in our group, is 86 years old. It's one of the first stations here in St. Louis. And AM and FM are very different from each other. You lose the AM signal when you go under a bridge, for instance, and FM you don't. So I think that's why everyone has kind of gravitated towards the FM dial, is because it's cleaner. You have stereo where you don't have stereo on AM, and it's just a better experience, a better listening experience on the FM dial. So no, radio is far from dead. They've been saying TV was going to take it, podcasts we're going to take it, but they never did. So we're holding our own.
Yeah, no, and I come from a very tiny island in the Caribbean. You might have heard of it, Puerto Rico. And I know off the air, I was mentioning, during Hurricane Maria, the only thing that worked that was a way for you to communicate with other people was radio. You would see lines of people just waiting to try to get their commercial in to let their employees know that the business was closed or that they were open or to where they can go to pick up their paycheck, all of that. And I think back on the island, a lot of people started to appreciate again the beauty of radio and partnering with it for business.
Right. That's true. And even radio in the United States, it's very important in alerting the public to any kind of natural disaster, attack from a foreign country, if you will. I hope that will never happen. But with the emergency alert system we have, and every week we have to test that system and make sure that it works, because radio is very, like you say, very easy to get out to the people, to the masses. It's an easy, fast way to connect with people.
So, Mark, how long have you been in the business?
Okay. 40, maybe 50 years, if you can. Yeah, I know I don't look that old. But yes, 40 or 50 years. Yeah.
And how did your journey begin?
I started here in Washington, Missouri,
Mhm.
at a little radio station, and worked my way up to a rock and roll station,
Nice.
KADI, and then I moved over to WIL, which is a big country station, and I stayed at WIL for about 20 years or so. Worked at KSD, which is the Bowl, and
Mhm.
I owned a radio station in Springfield, Illinois, for a while, and then started getting into more of community radio. I became the mayor of a city in St. Louis County for 2 terms, and kind of let radio slide away while I could do some things for my community there. And after that was over with, I just, like I say, I started getting into some more community-minded radio stations, and then it became clear that some of the people that owned them and ran them were struggling
Mhm.
with operating them the way they should, and so I was there and felt an obligation to help with the community radio. So that's where that's how I've kind of landed here, and then this station, we managed to buy it from the International Institute, and our studios are here at the International Institute of St. Louis. And then, of course, we partnered with KWRH, and so now we're helping each other out as much as we can.
I love the fact that the station is located within the International Institute, because what better way to stay connected with the community and what's going on than just like literally being here? Like you can
Right.
walk down the hallway and see one of the programs that's going on, see
Right.
the people that are coming in for
Yeah.
services. So I think that's beautiful.
They do some great work here. They've had some struggles with cutbacks with the federal government in money. They've managed to, keep things together with donations. So please consider that. But if you're coming to the United States, you probably are going to come through the International Institute of St. Louis, and they help people so much here. They really do. They help find them jobs. They help find them a place to live. They help them with furniture. I cannot imagine what it would be like to go to another country where I barely speak the language
Mhm.
and try to make it with my family, and they're here to help. They really they extend their arms out.
Yeah, it's thanks to organizations like the International Institute that make St. Louis such a welcoming city. Like, make people feel comfortable and like they're home right away off the bat as soon as they arrive. Um, so with that said, I want to transition into the new endeavor that is impacting a specific community in St. Louis, and it's the Spanish radio station.
Yeah, that has been it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It really has, and it's been quite a journey so far. We started by I love the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals, and I know people down there. My son Michael works for the Cardinals, worked in the broadcast booth for years with Mike Shannon, and I found out that they have affiliates that are Spanish, and they're doing a Spanish broadcast. And I thought, well, nobody's doing it in St. Louis. Could we do it? And so I contacted the folks at the Cardinals, and they said, "Oh my goodness, we would love to have you." We were, and I'm the general manager of KWRH, and it's an English speaking station, but there's no one doing it in St. Louis, and that's surprising me immediately. It's like, why is no one doing FM Spanish Hispanic radio in St. Louis? When you go to many other cities, they have 2 or 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
And a city the size of St. Louis has nothing on the FM dial. So anyway, we started in talks with them, and they were excited, and we were excited to do it. And then I met Santiago and Hector, who wanted to do the broadcast for the St. Louis City SC, and they wanted to do that in Spanish. So we sat down and talked with City SC at their offices and came up with a plan. And we were there from the day one. So now we have the St. Louis Baseball Cardinals, and then we have the City SC. And a great thing about KXOK, which we played on as well, we played on KXOK and KWRH, but KXOK was one of the first stations to ever play the Baseball Cardinals with Jack Buck and Harry Carey. And later it moved to KMOX. So this is fun because now we're one of the first station in St. Louis to carry the Hispanic, version of the St. Louis Cardinals. So anyway, so then we had those two, and we did that for about a year or so, and things were pretty good. We were having a lot of fun with it. But it did kind of open a lot of our eyes to, wow, this is something that's needed in this market. This is a community, a part of our community that really needs a voice, and that's really what it came down to.
No, definitely. And you mentioned something, and it's true. Like, I have talked to so many Hispanics who moved to the St. Louis area, and one of the first things they ask about is, what's the Spanish radio station? Like, I can't find it. And then you have to tell them, well, back in the day, because not anymore. But back in the day, you would have to tell them, there is none. I'm sorry. You're going to have to download an app and listen to a station from Chicago, Texas, or another state. And it was shocking for a lot of people because, St. Louis is supposed to be a big city, but a lot of times it has more of the vibes of like a small city,
right?
Because it's missing things like that for people to feel like they're home, like they're welcome. So having this new radio station is definitely exciting to help attract those people, and when they arrive, make them want to stay because they can listen to their music, they can listen to their people. And when it comes to listening to their people, can you talk to us about the shows you'll be having on the radio station?
Wow, well, that is important because we kind of partnered up with the Hispanic Radio Network to help us with some of the programming of the radio station, and then I came across Ricky. Ricky, who was at iHeartRadio, and they were making changes, and Ricky's contract, I think, was up for negotiation. And we said, well, wait, we want to get in that negotiation too. So Ricky really has a passion for the Hispanic community, and he's always been wanting to be involved in a startup Hispanic radio station. In fact, he's sitting over here on the side there, and we should maybe, Ricky, come over here. Can I get him? He's like, no, I don't want to come over.
He didn't want to be on here, but we're making him.
He can really talk about the shows that we're doing, that we're working on, and they're getting to. Because Ricky, you can sit over here on this side, because we don't, and that's the point I'm trying to make, is that we don't want this to be just a music station. I think it's important, and I think Ricky would agree, that it's important to start connecting with the community. I know what the Chamber is doing, and some of the podcasts that you do, we'd like to replay those and let people know exactly what's going on. Ricky, tell us a little bit of, he's been really the spearhead in getting some of our local programming going. So here, I'm going to move this over.
And then I'm gonna translate. I'm gonna move to Spanish. So
That's
I'm
fine.
gonna say, what's going on, on the shows that we're planning and we're working for the past couple months. But ahora mismo, yo creo que la semana que viene empieza el show Amigas al Aire, ¿verdad? Son 3 amigas que van a estar hablando de todos los temas que las amigas hablan en la casa, ¿verdad? Yo creo que el concepto que pues Mark me permitió, ¿no? En la radio es cómo podemos traer la comunidad, cómo podemos, no solo música, como él dijo. Amigas al Aire empieza todos los martes y jueves a las 11:30 de la mañana, que está compuesto por tres personas, ¿verdad? 3 amigas. Adicionar a eso, vamos a estar teniendo un show que es posible que empiece a finales de abril, que son abogados que van a estar hablando de inmigración, lo cual es un tema que es sumamente importante ahora con todo lo que está pasando en la comunidad. Y lo importante con ese show es pues traer la información correcta, ¿verdad? Eso fue una de las cosas. Si vamos a tener una plataforma como esta, ¿cómo la podemos usar de la forma correcta? Yo creo que las redes sociales son sumamente buenas hasta un punto, ¿verdad? Pero también hay mala información. Yo creo que es bien importante tener un show así. Adicional a eso, estamos trabajando con Mark tener un show de deportes, no solamente de los deportes de aquí de San Luis, sino a nivel del mundo, ¿no? Y eso es lo que tenemos actualmente, pero estamos abiertos a todas las oportunidades. Yo creo que queremos ser la voz, ¿no? De la comunidad y poder estar en todas las plataformas posibles. Eso es un proceso que empezamos ahora, estamos tocando puertas, queremos añadir cosas. Y algo que es bien importante es cómo lo podemos hacer posible, ¿verdad? Yo creo que venimos detrás de, tenemos un gran nombre detrás de lo que son los 40, no solamente dos personas que decidieron abrir una radio. Yo creo que ahora con el nombre y con lo que estamos haciendo, yo creo que ayuda a todas las otras organizaciones como la Cámara de Comercio, como Telemundo, como el International Institute, que están ayudando a la comunidad. Y nosotros solamente queremos meternos ahí y poder ayudar. Pero sí, esos son varios de los shows que van a estar pasando. Definitivamente estamos abiertos a oportunidades y a otros nuevos shows, pero esa básicamente es la base ahora mismo.
Mencionaste algo, you mentioned something, and it's that the name behind the radio station, Los 40. So in case you didn't know, Los 40 isn't something that, you know, Mark just invented and was like, I want Los 40 name here in St. Louis. So can you talk to us a bit more about, like, you know, this is something more than just you here in St. Louis?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna move.
Adios. Yeah, Los 40 is around the world, very much in the Southern Hemisphere and around here. There's Los 40 USA, Los 40 Colombia, Mexico, and a lot of what we're getting is from Mexico, from Miami, from Puerto Rico. So this is really put together by people that know the music, know the industry, and they've been very, very helpful in helping us. They've helped us with our television commercials that we put on Telemundo, and that's another a great, I guess we've joined with Telemundo, you know, to help each other. So we're making folks aware of Telemundo. They're making folks aware of us as well. So, but the Hispanic Radio Network, yes, and they're helping us get FIFA. We're going to start carrying FIFA, and we are the for the World Cup. We've already signed contracts that we are the official radio station for the World Cup here in St. Louis. So they're excited to be in St. Louis, and they're excited too because no one, and I don't want anybody to, you know, get another idea to come in, but we're the only ones in St. Louis, and they've been very excited to have an outlet in St. Louis. So.
Oh, that's great to hear. And I think something else, and Ricky didn't mention this, but the station also has their own DJ.
Yes, we have our own DJ, and we're looking at trying to get a few more too.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So we're excited about. We're developing everything as quickly as we can. We're a very small station. We're not big like iHeartRadio, where Ricky came from. Sometimes that's tough for Ricky. And we're looking at getting a satellite studio put together at Cartel and a couple other places we're looking as well, so that we can branch out, get out into the community, have more studios going at the same time. And so we're going as fast as we can. Unfortunately, it does take time. But we are building. We're in the building process. I think probably since Ricky's come on, he's been on for about 3 months, maybe, or something like
Only
that.
3 months?
3 or 4 months.
It feels like an eternity.
Yeah, well, I know. It does sometimes. No, I'm kidding. But we were talking to Ricky a long time before he came on board, too, just kind of seeing what he thought. But, yeah, I mean, so we've really kicked it into high gear, if you will.
Oh, that's great. And honestly, I can feel it because in the last 2 weeks, I've had at least like 20 people mention, oh, did you hear the new radio station?
Right.
Did you hear the new radio station? I'm like, I've already known. I knew before you.
Yeah. So we are on the Odyssey app, which is owned by KMOX. And we're also KXOK is on the iHeartRadio app, and we're in the process. It's been a long process, but we're getting there to put Los 40 on the iHeartRadio app. And we've looked at developing our own app as well. We kind of have, well, should we, shouldn't we, should, you know, but we are looking at developing our own app as well. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible. I know there's a long list that I gave you earlier of different platforms that you can find us on. You can go to Google and listen to us on Google and on Alexa.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Here.
So, say, hey, Google, listen to 929 KWRH. And we're trying to, I guess, branding, they call it. a lot of folks or a lot of platforms want to use your call letters,
Mhm.
and which is KWRH, but we like to use Los 40 STL. So we're trying to do some education there, and we're trying to change some things. So there's only one message, which is Los 40, but that's part of the growing
Mhm.
pains of it all, I think. You know,
Yeah, you're still in the baby toddler
we
stage of
are.
it all.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, we are. We still are.
And then you also have an Instagram and a YouTube channel for Los 40, or just Instagram.
Instagram for sure. We're working on our Facebook. It kind of comes and goes, but I would say within the next couple of weeks we'll have that all smoothed out. And we have KXOK. We share that with Los 40 right now. It has a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think there's a if you go to our website too, which is los40stl.com, los40usa.com. You can probably find a link on there to uh, the YouTube channel. So, and what we do there.
So, Mark, as we start wrapping up, is there any advice you have for small businesses that are considering using radio to promote their business?
Boy, yes. Please call Ricky. Ricky can help. He really can. He knows what he's doing. Ricky comes from a sales background,
Mhm.
so he's helped small businesses grow, get the word out that they're there, and really help them with their messaging. And that's, I guess, the biggest and hardest part is to let people know that you're there. And radio, you can do a lot of ads. You don't have to put all this money into the television commercials, the visual.
Mhm.
We're very oral, so and it's very mobile, so you can be listening to it when you're driving in the car,
Mhm.
when you're working on something at home, wherever you are. Radio's that way. So it does give folks an opportunity to really spread the word, to get it out. You can do and I think you want to do as many impressions of your commercial as you can, and radio allows
Mhm.
you to give you multiple and multiple impressions. You're going to get a bigger bang for your buck on radio than you will with uh, and then of course, we have the sports things that we're doing as
Mhm.
well, and that's attracting a lot of
Oh,
folks.
yeah.
That they can't find that anywhere else. That's very special, and so we're allowing folks to have a voice there as well during the broadcast. So radio's great.
Well, you heard it from Mark. If you want to get your business on Los 40 St. Louis, reach out to Ricky, reach out to Mark, reach out to whoever. Let's get you on the radio, get your business out there and exposed to St. Louis. With that said, I guess if there's nothing else you'd like to share with everyone, we'll start wrapping it up.
Okay, the only thing I want to
Okay.
say is that we're really excited to give the Hispanic community a voice, to be a voice for the Hispanic community. We feel that it's very important to have that representation here in St. Louis, and we're very proud and very humbled at the same time to be able to be part of it all. So
We
yeah.
love to hear that. We definitely love to hear that. And if anyone has a crazy idea of a show you want on Los 40, don't tell him I sent you, but reach out to Ricky as well, because the sky's the limit. And the more voices we can get onto the radio, the more voices we can get out there, the more stories we can share, and the more people can know that St. Louis is a place that you want to call home. So with that said, thank you everyone for tuning in today. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ricky, in the back. I know you're still hiding. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Members on Air, an HCC podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out to us at communication@hccstl.com or visit our website for more information. It was a pleasure being here. It was a pleasure being with you, Mark. And hopefully this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. And maybe we'll get a new show on Los 40s of business in St. Louis, or I don't know. I like politics, so maybe I could come back and talk politics with you, Mark. But it was a pleasure to be here. It's a great space. It's a great way to get connected with the community. So tune in for the next episode, everyone. All right.